to be fair, so maybe the same applies for Legacy here. We will find out as we are on to round number 1 here on Nepal. Having a look at the team compositions, it is going to be Wuvo starting off on the far. Strawbella with the Mercy to back that one up. No real surprises there. The same is, of course, there for Kanga Roro, taking the Farah in that respect. It's pretty much the exact same roster for both those two teams.
We'd like to see Farah versus Farah, and Wubo's going to kick it off here, just raining on down some of those rockets. Strawbella on the other side of things doing the same thing, or a bit of support, I suppose. We'll see how this Mercy does come out, and for now, well, Cinderella is down, so that's not a great start. Yeah, exactly, that's right. And so the player advantage is there for Kanga in this fight. Wuvo, though, does chime back with a kill onto Pisa. And by this time, we're going to start to see Cinderella coming back into the fight after coming off the respawn. Lucio under some pressure right now, and that is not going to go too well for Legacy. That's Saphira playing under the Legacy 1 account, by the way, if anyone was wondering. Going down fairly early on in the fight there, but Wuvo again trading back every single time we see Roro find a kill. Wuvo seems to find the exact same one on the other side. The trades are always handy here, Jordan. Still at 0%. No one has managed to take the point. Caramel Koala comes through, did grab Pizza, recalls back out after almost picking up that Tracer as well. There we go, Ziggy is also demeched, and they do capture the point. Yeah, so Legacy getting a slight advantage here. Strawbella popping that Valkyrie just to keep herself alive a little bit, it seems. I don't know if that was entirely necessary, because it did seem like Kanga Esports were backing out at that point. And that does mean that Bane is going to have the next Valkyrie here available between the two Mercies. Wuvo's going to try and take the opportunity to go aggressive. Roro takes a big rocket to the face, but of course, Wuvo can't land that second shot, and that is what you need to be able to defeat your opposing Farah. It's such a frustrating game sometimes. Caramel Koala does get a nice pulse bomb off there to take down Pisa. Again, though, the counterpart is dropped. Cinderella goes down. Both the Winstons out of the fight for now. Self-destruct onto the point from Kanga Esports. That's not going to do anything, and Wuvo comes up with a big rocket barrage. An attempt from Roro to do the exact same, but it's not really going to result in much past the D-Mech onto Skull. Yeah, get all the way through to 11 o'clock there on the capture. Brings it all the way back. Now, we have seen Wuvo. Wuvo's been targeting Roro, but then it's been coming back the other way, and Roro hasn't been targeting him. He's been going out for the DPS onto the team. So I'm not really sure which one pays off better there, to be honest. Well, it really depends on what kind of playstyle you want to go for as that Farah. You can see both of them now putting some shots into each other. And in fact, Wuvo takes a couple in a row, but the constant Mercy healing does keep him alive. I don't think either of the Farahs or Mercies has gone down just yet. And that's just going to be how it is for the rest of this game, unless someone can hit 2 rockets in a row. And again, it's going to be just an all-out brawl on that point. Caramel Koala getting another nice pulse bomb out, this time demeching Ziggy. Roro under a lot of pressure. Caramel Koala could chase this, but decides not to. Decides, in fact, to dispatch of Ziggy, and also does actually get rid of Roro there. Cinderella finding Bane. This looks like it's going to be a fight for Legacy once more. Yeah, Caramel Koala has essentially had free reign for the last minute or so on this Tracer, putting out a ton of DPS precisely where needed. And we're about to hit 100%. Yeah, we certainly are. 99 on the board now for Legacy. Overtime is ticking. There will be someone on the point to continue that. It's Ziggy on the Diva, but are they going to be able to manage to do much? Not that I can think of, as particularly given the fact that everyone is dying right now. Double kill for Caramel Koala. Another one out. This is just, yeah, like you can see the Legacy players putting out much, much more damage than Kanga Esports. And I really got to give it to Wuvo and Caramel Koala. They did an excellent job on that one. Yeah, they seem to have pretty free reign even on that Farah, going up against another Farah backed up by Mercy. Yeah, it did seem as though, to me at least, Wuvo was getting the better of Roro there. It just seemed like he was having a bit more impact. He was hitting a little bit more, or quite a few more rockets on his counterpart, putting more pressure onto Roro in that scenario. But overall, I think Roro still had a degree of impact. It was just eclipsed by Wuvo. Now we're going to see a bit of a roster change for everyone, of course, being on a different map. Wuvo moving over onto the Sombra. We have the Soldier on both sides as well. But it's mostly Dive coming out for Legacy, where for Kanga, it's going to be the Orisa Roadhog composition alongside the Junkrat. So Kanga wants to go for an early brawl here on the left side of the map. Legacy probably want to avoid that. Yeah, we'll see how this one plays out. But for me, Legacy looked quite convincing there on that first part of this map. And Kanga's really going to have to lift their game, Jordan. Maybe changing the matchup, changing the composition will help them out. Drop point unlocks in 5, and as you said, fighting on this right-hand side of the map to kick things off. Yeah, well, this is where we need to keep an eye on Wuvo and see what he's going to be able to do on that Sombra, because he's the one on the flank that's going to be opening things up. In fact, Legacy do eventually decide to dive in. Cinderella and Skull doing a good job there, finding a kill apiece, really putting the pressure on the Kanga players, and, well, they're going to have to back out there. And again, I have to say it, I do much prefer the dive composition than the composition that Kanga is running. Look, they essentially walked onto the point and they captured it. Kanga were in no position to retaliate there, and now they've got to deal with Wuvo here on this Sombra, who I suspect going to cause a bit of trouble. Yeah, Caramel Koala at 90% of the tactical visor as well, building that one up quite quickly. That's going to be something that Kanga will have to deal with, and Caramel Koala is under no pressure right now. This is the dream as a soldier. The rest of your teammates just charging in there, and you get to sit at the back, pump out damage. Strawbella actually finds 2 with the Lucio, and Kanga once more will be routed and have to fall back as Strawbella gets a 3rd for the fight. Yeah, Kanga essentially being outclassed here, Jordan. Now, I know we said very early on we thought this would be close, but for right now, this looks almost worse than what we saw up against Blank. Well, I mean, it's certainly not going well for Kanga, is it? But they are contesting. I don't know if this is going to work out too well for them, maybe on Nepal. It certainly doesn't seem like it, but some of the other maps might be in their favor. We shall see. Wuvo here, however, does have an EMP available. Both tactical visors do come out. Kanga's came a little bit earlier, so Caramel Koala will have maybe a little bit more room to maneuver towards the end of this one. Skull getting rid of Pisa. That's a good start to the fight again for Legacy. The dive comp working out once more. Wuvo still, as of yet, actually has used the EMP, and that's probably part of the reason why Kanga's winning this or losing this fight. There are a couple of ultis coming out there as well. I'm not sure if they needed each and every one of them, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, I didn't even hear the EMP. Well, there you go. Anyway, another one fight for Legacy. They're up to 82%. So. They are. And it's just so smooth, Jordan. They're playing very, very well here. Yeah. They really do seem to have the better of Kanga at the moment. 90%, this is going to need to be the last attempt. And when you take a look at this team comp, they have they've swapped off onto that Diva of the Roadhog. I don't know if it'll make a difference. There comes the self-destruct. Not going to do much. Trading out, perhaps grabbing a new mech. Still on the point. Just trying to hold this overtime, but one would suspect that they shall all go down here. Somebody needs to deal with Roro here. The Pulse Bomb does come out, not connecting with Caramel Koala, and in fact, Caramel Koala does get Roro, but the flip does come across for Kanga. So, the first time that they've been able to actually get some points on the board here on Nepal. And Legacy are going to have to fall back and look to retake it. They do have some key ultimates coming up here. Wuvo, the EMP, 93%. Caramel Koala's Tactical Visor, 90%. And we do see Saphira with the Transcendence at 80% there as well. So there are going to be quite a few ultimates available for Legacy very, very shortly. Kanga, however, does have a few to respond in kind. But as of yet, no defensive support ultimates. So Legacy has a very small window of opportunity here that they might be able to take use of. Yeah, Supercharger ready to go. That Tac Visor ready to go. They would love to see Saphira there with that Transcendence as well, perhaps before they jump on in. Wuvo through the back. EMP time. There we go. Almost picks up one. There we go. Bane goes down. Wuvo countered back. But still not so far so good. Looking great here now for Legacy. They're on the point. Transcendence comes on out. So does that Valkyrie, but it doesn't matter. And Strawbella gets rid of the mech. So you'll like to think his capture comes back. It was at 52%. The overtime ticks on down, and as the last player tries to dive on, too slow, doesn't matter, 2-0 is the score, and a great win coming out there from Legacy. Yeah, very, very easy actually out from Legacy in that one, 2-0, fairly confident as well. Have a look at the player of the game, Caramel Koala, I assume probably on the first point. Well, you had the double Pulse Bomb as well that came out, that was pretty good. Yep, that'll be that. I mean, look, on the first point, I think it was really just a case of Legacy out-brawling Kanga Esports. But on the second point, for me, I was not really a fan of the Kanga Esports composition there. It felt like Legacy were given so much room to maneuver, particularly Caramel Koala on the Soldier. Just was not under any pressure. He was just all the way back on his side of the field, just playing what he wanted to do. I don't think he died that entire fight, that entire game on the second point. And if you're a Soldier and you're doing that, you're going to be putting out so much damage. Somebody needed to be able to pressure him, but no one could because there wasn't anyone on that roster that was able to do that. You know, you have an Orisa, you have a Roadhog. Yeah. How are you going to close that distance? They swapped out to the Diva eventually, but it's too little too late. But they did manage to recap. Off the back of that swap, they recapped. I think if they would have run the dive comp from the start, they probably would have had a bit of a better opportunity there. But that's the breaks, I guess. And how very quickly you can go from being at the start of a game to all of a sudden being one map down. So that's not so great for Kanga. Legacy probably feeling pretty good about this one, I would suspect. Jordan, overall, any surprises coming out of this? You said Legacy you thought would win. Are they playing better than you thought?
Yeah.
Kanga playing worse than you thought?
Okay, maybe not like better than I thought, but I think they're playing a little bit better than they were last week, which, to be fair, they were up against a very strong opposition last week. So maybe their mistakes were getting capitalized upon a little bit better, and they're not, in this case, up against Kanga Esports. But I didn't necessarily expect it to be this easy for Legacy. I didn't think a 2-0 of this kind of manner was going to occur. Maybe a 2-0 where both teams kind of got to 99 or something like that, or very close to each other, would have been potentially on the cards. But so far, this is looking a little bit easier for Legacy than I did expect. But like I said, maybe Kanga just doesn't really like those control point maps. Maybe they're going to do a little bit better here on Assault.
So, we're talking about Assault. Let's go and see which map we're going to play.
It is hybrid,
Numbani. Well, I'm just taking your lead, Jordan. Assault will be an interesting one because
exactly.
we saw them play very well on Hanamura last week. So that's something that we want to come back to.
If they get to choose, they will probably go for the Hanamura.
You would think so. But hey, we'll have to wait and see. Numbani, this is always an interesting map, to be honest. And after watching that, I am concerned that there's potential for a 0.1
0.1 hold?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, well, I would imagine that Legacy will be starting on the defensive side here, given that they did not choose the map, and so they get to choose the side.
Yeah.
I mean, you're probably not too far off the money. I'm not sure, though. We'll find out, I guess. Legacy, I kind of almost expected to actually see a soldier here for them if they were on the defense, but they're going to go for a straight-up dive, more or less, with the Sombra again. I'm probably more of a fan, I think, of the soldier on first point cap than the Tracer. Zenyatta is not going to be very easy to survive against the Sombra with, and that basically shuts down the first push. Buys, you know, another 30 seconds here for Legacy.
Man, that Sombra just gets tick, tick, tick so very quickly up into that EMP. Locus, you can see just holding back for now. Would love to find a pick. May get picked by himself, however, recall.
Yeah, I mean, that's not really fun when you're a Tracer. You're looking for those weak, squishy targets. You dash across, and it's just a diva sitting in front of you. You're thinking, well, what am I going to do here? The answer is nothing. You're going to recall back out of there. So you use up all of your jumps and your recall, which is not fun times at all. But now, straight onto the point is Kanga Esports with a vengeance, as Ziggy does find Cinderella. Wubo trying to trade things back at 70% of the ultimate. Does actually go down to Bane, though. And Kanga Esports, they seem to be coming up with a better fight.
Yeah, looking quite good here on the point. You saw both those tanks went down. Cinderella now on the way back. Caramel Koala trying to keep the hopes and dreams alive here. But Jordan, I was concerned about a 0.1 holdout. I don't think I needed to worry at all. Kanga Esports very quickly onto the point. And 5 minutes on the clock as they take the payload and push it through.
Yeah, clearly no worries there at all for Kanga Esports. Just getting that first pick. Good focus fire onto, I think it was Cinderella. And from there, the floodgates did open as Kanga took advantage of their numbers.
This is what I want to see. This is it. This is, so far, much more reasonable battle coming out from the likes of Kanga.
Yeah, when you can cap that first point so quickly as well, generally it makes the streets phase a little bit easier too, because of your ult advantages coming into this second stage of the map, not to mention the fact that the streets are generally just a little bit easier to navigate for the attackers in general. However, we do have a Pulse Bomb, we do have a Transcendence on the defensive side, and an EMP. There is the EMP, in fact, as Wubo pops into the entire Kanga roster. And this is not looking like it's going to be a fun fight for Kanga. The Pulse Bomb does go a little bit awry, but it's not going to matter too much for Legacy, as they are defeating Kanga very, very easily in that fight. In fact, Kanga just decided to jump off the edge half the time there. Anyway, Skull looks like wanting to reset. I think must have gotten demech'd. But Kanga's going to get a faster respawn here, so they will be able to push this forward as Skull is joining the team once more. You can still see quite far away. Respawn's taking a while for Legacy.
Yeah, getting a good 30-40 meters here perhaps for free here, Jordan. And might try and hold this one at the point. Look at all those ultimates, and this down barrier comes down. We will see a hack as well. Roro bringing out this Dragon Blade, having to put it away. Transcendence is played. Locust, we can see, trying to do the DPS, but so far so good here.
This should not be happening right now for Kanga. They utilized 5 ultimates, 4 or 5 ultimates in that, and Legacy utilizing only 1 or 2. And Kanga's just done absolutely nothing there. They're finally starting to find some picks. Roro does get Strawbella, but it was some really good defensive ultimates out from Legacy. In fact, Saphira on the Transcendence did nullify essentially everything that Kanga was trying to do there. Legacy seemed to be holding this one okay.
Yeah, that was actually pretty good. They'll still manage to push on through. Going to try and hold it back again, but you might think maybe the respawns here will play a part. Caramel Koala's down, Cinderella gets picked up as well, and Skull finds himself the unfortunate result of that self-destruct. So they will manage to come around to the second point. 4 minutes still on the clock to get through this last third of the map, Jordan. Yep. Kanga, that's some pretty good time. They
definitely are making some good time, and they're coming into this final point with some big ultimates available. Roro does have his, and we just saw the Pulse Bomb come out from Locust. Not much being done with that. Ziggy does get dropped by...
Got D-Max jumped off.
Yeah, jumped off, which is interesting. We're going to probably see Kanga disengaging this fight.
Between Davey and Roro here, looking in an okay spot. Obviously, Saphira will be able to help out with the Transcendence. We'll see if there's any picks coming out, though, because that could play a big part. Dragon Blade, there we go, and this down barrier coming out at the same time, trying to keep them going. Caramel Koala going to recall, stay alive.
That's a great Transcendence out from Saphira. 1 ultimate for 2. The EMP comes out for Wubo, and now the counter engage for Legacy. Skull just comes forward, finding 2. Wubo gets 2 as well, and Caramel Koala is involved on the Sombra. That was far too easy for Legacy. As soon as that EMP pops, you know exactly what is going to happen.
Very, very nicely done. And we'll just sort of reset here, see how things play on out. If we take a look at Kanga's ultimates now, both Davey and Roro not looking so good. The rest of the team going to be ready by the end of this fight at least. Let's see what they can get out of it. Maybe if they can, pick them up just as they're caught out. Maybe Legacy a little bit out of position. We'll see how this one goes. Cinderella, Primal Rage, but Transcendence is countered.
That was really good from Cinderella, forcing that Transcendence, and that's not where Kanga would have wanted to use it. They would have wanted to use it in a fight where they were actually engaging or trying to make something happen. That was purely a survival ultimate out from the Zenyatta on Kanga Esports. Really a wasted ultimate as far as Kanga is concerned.
They do still continue to push it through, though, as Legacy forced to fall back over the top. For now, though, Legacy starting to stack these ultis, and Wubo with that EMP once again. I think that's a double self-destruct. Oh, but Skull gets the better, picking up both Davey and Roro. The fight continues. Kanga still on the payload. Only 3 members alive. Legacy going to respawn faster here as well.
Yeah, this is really a little bit worrisome for Kanga. While they are still slightly pushing that payload forward, they're really not winning any of these fights, and Wubo is getting EMPs up so quickly. Every single fight we see one, it's basically a one fight for Legacy, so he's definitely having a good time on the Sombra right now. Kanga just don't seem to be able to find a way to counteract it right now. We've seen some changes in their roster. You know, we have seen Roro swapping off the Genji onto the Soldier, but whatever they try, it just doesn't seem to be allowing them to push in here.
Yeah, they're getting little bit by little bit, and they've been allowed to do this because they had 4 minutes to do it. But with only about 1:10 on the clock, this is going to be tough. Caramel Koala, as you said, onto Roro. That's going to make it even harder, especially with that tack visor ready to go and not able to be used. Pizza's gone, so Legacy now sitting on this point, looking in a very good position. Roro comes back on up, does get picked off. That resurrection of no use, and now, Jordan, they have like 1 and a bit fights left.
Yeah, that resurrection, in fact, really just actually staggering Kanga Esports, so probably more harm than good at the end of the day. Legacy's going to be feeling quite confident about this one. All of their ultimates are up or about to be coming up for the next fight. Kanga realistically only has, like you said, 1.5 fights. They'll get 1, and then as long as they can continue to push that overtime through, maybe they can keep pushing the cart forward. Locust here, let's keep an eye on this.
Yeah,
the Tracer could be a big pulse bomb, but Saphira does have the Transcendence, so should be able to survive. And in fact, both the support ultimates come out at the same time from Legacy. Perhaps not the premium usage of them. The EMP, though, here from Legacy does seem to be good. Wubo gets dropped initially. There should be the follow-up, though, here from Legacy as they will start to take advantage of this fight once more. 10 seconds left on the clock, and Kanga, no one's even going to really be able to secure overtime for them.
Yeah, no one near the payload by the looks of things. They get forced all the way back into the spawn here by Legacy with a very offensive push coming out from that one. As you said, both those support ultimates being used. I think it was more a matter of Saphira getting very low and knowing that that Transcendence needed to come out at the same time. We saw the sound barrier come out as well, but it didn't matter.
Did not.
They played that out quite nicely, and what was a great push at the start and an okay second half falls apart in the third and final. I was going to say quarter, but that doesn't make sense. So.
Yeah, that's really where you kind of always do get stuck on Numbani, isn't it? If you don't get stuck in first, you generally get through streets okay, but once you get to third, things start to become a little bit of a problem for you. So overall, I mean, it's not the worst result really for Kanga. They managed to get fairly far through the map. It is still holdable for them, but I think if they can't hold that first point, we're probably going to be seeing Legacy come away with their second map here.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. They didn't even... if we have a look at it, it's 43 and a bit meters. I don't even feel that's around the corner properly. So that's normally where we see teams get caught out on that last little bit of the last little section. It gets closer and closer to their opponent's spawn point on defense. So we'll have to see. In the end, it felt okay coming out from Legacy. They had a number of really good defensive pushes at the end. Every time we saw them and they followed them down, they chased them down, they tried to pick off the remaining players who were trying to attack and then obviously flee. Look at all those birds. It's pretty nice. It's like it's real, Jordan. It's like it's the real world.
I'm not sure that it's real, unfortunately, Ben. But looking across at the Legacy roster, it's again just going to be the straight-up dive. They're going to look here to jump on top of probably Roro and Davey on the Mercy. Pressure them off the high ground, and once they can do that, once they've achieved that, there should be a fight that is winnable for them in this one. Kanga Esports, again, fairly standard on the defense here. The only real change-up being the Mercy and Soldier combination, which can be very strong if it is untouched. But look at this, Legacy diving right on top of them. The focus is going to be coming in onto Cinderella on the Winston once more from Kanga, but this time they don't actually manage to find the pick onto him. Legacy, though, are dropping players across the board. The Diva and Zenyatta get taken down. There are some trade backs, though. It's a 4 versus 4.
Yeah, Caramel Koala trying to do some work here, but I think forced to just duck on out. That didn't work out. They made the dive very early. They hit the high ground, but they did not manage to get the kills they needed to. And you can see there, Ziggy only demech'd in the end, able to bring back that ultimate and bring back that mech as well. Great work from Kanga. Looking good. Pizza almost now ready as well with that Primal Rage.
Well, a big part of that as well was that we saw Locust being able to get the pick onto Saphira, who was playing Zenyatta for Legacy. That kind of put a bit of a spanner in the works for Legacy. Without those discords, it can be a little bit harder to dispatch of players as quickly as you want to. Though here comes the dive once more, and the Kanga is off the high ground. Still alive, though. Caramel Koala does manage to trade one back, and the Wubo ultimate does come out here on Genji. Had some poor ones last week. Let's see if he can make amends here. Unfortunately, so far, only able to get one, being bullied away right now by Pizza, and there's so much... Well, there's only so much you can do as a Genji there when you're just getting bashed in the face by a big monkey. Kanga Esports, once again, they hold strong.
Yeah, that was a pretty good hold. I thought maybe, again, that Legacy from that dive had managed to separate Kanga Esports out between two different parts of the point and perhaps could do something about it. But in the end, even with that Dragon Blade, it was not to be. And now Kanga's sitting there on a self-destruct and attack visor. Roro as well, getting boosted by the Mercies. We'll try. Third time's the charm, maybe, Jordan. We'll have to wait and see how this plays out. Roro pushed all the way back, but still alive, still going strong. Bane's been picked up. Legacy one, a.k.a. Saphira, still alive. Would love to find themselves at 100% here for this Transcendence. Roro goes down.
Skull got 2 kills there, and the D-Mech with the self-destruct. This is going to be enough for Legacy to turn things around in that fight. I thought that it was looking a little bit better there for Legacy. They didn't drop someone so early on, and they got the first kill in that fight. Despite the resurrection coming through from Davey onto Bane, it was just always going to be a fight that was fought from behind for Kanga, and that's an excellent chase there from Legacy, as well as Caramel Koala and Cinderella push forward, get those back spawns, and deny Legacy, or rather deny Kanga any opportunity of holding this first part of the Streets phase. They're going to have to regroup and really take they're positioning away from Legacy as opposed to getting it for free.
Yeah, exactly, and leaving just Strawbella back there to do a little bit of movement with the payload, Jordan. Yeah. But that is it for now, and they push so far forward. Look at these 4 ultimates ready to go. And this is going to be a little bit difficult here for Kanga to get on in. They can't position themselves correctly. They're going to try and flank around the back. Pulse Bomb comes out, doesn't do anything. Maybe Davey goes down. Not now, though. Still good. Roro with attack visor ready to go. Caramel Koala, what's the play? Jumps on in. And, well, the payload's been stopped, but what can Weibo do with this Dragon Blade?
Only 1 kill so far, gets a fair bit of damage out onto the Tracer, and actually should be able to clean that one up. Indeed does. Locust going down, so I think it was both the DPS that did get dropped there by Wuvo. Quite a good Dragon Blade out from him, and Kanga Esports, again, do seem to be losing this fight.
They certainly do. The mech comes back, the payload moves on, Pizza goes down, and 250 on the clock. We're almost through to our second point here. It potentially looked like that was going to go Ori for Legacy. Kanga coming through the back, the payload stopped, but they battled it well, and now they have about the same amount of time as Kanga had to get onto this third portion of the map. And to me, I think they're in a much better position.
Definitely. Well, when you know that you only have to get to that position as opposed to all the way through, 4 minutes feels like a huge amount of time. We're going to see Kanga try and re-engage a fight here, but Legacy Esports just backing out. Davy's ultimate, the Valkyrie, not going to be of any use right now as there isn't even a fight going on.
Let's be real, when is Valkyrie of use? I don't know. We'll have to wait. Strawbella ready to go, but still plenty of time on the clock. You can see Kanga's finally managed to push through a little bit, Jordan, but I don't have confidence here.
Not any ultimates available right now for Kanga. There should be a couple coming up in this fight, but Legacy might have the opportunity here, however. Cinderella does get dropped early on in the piece. That might be just enough for Legacy to decide they don't want to take this fight. However, Wuvo pushes on forward. Sound barrier out to keep him alive. He's only going to be able to get 1 so far. The second onto Pisa. Again, a decent ultimate out from Wuvo. Skull, in the meanwhile, did get the better of the Kanga Mercy. And this is, again, Legacy starting to push forward and win these fights.
Yeah, see you later, Kanga. This is going to be a Legacy win. They push through the payload, get it through. Great work coming out from them. When you see that sound barrier onto a Genji with Dragon Blade, there's very little you can do, even managing to take down the tank. So, Wuvo, what's this play of the game? I don't even remember. Probably right an EMP.
Yes, it is an EMP indeed. Nothing to get too excited about, I don't think. That's just fairly standard stuff, really. But
I wish I had Sombras like that in my games.
Well, maybe you should be the winds of change.
Maybe if no one wants me to play Sombra.
No, that's
true.
We'll
be real.
Yeah, look, across the board, I think Legacy looked pretty good there. I mean, Wuvo, I sort of had some concerns about in week 1 on the Genji. There was a couple of matches or rounds where he utilized his Dragon Blade and got picked off straight away. Not really appearing to be a problem there this week, so that's a good change for Legacy, certainly helping them out. Thought he was also quite impactful on the Sombra when he was playing that one. Again, Caramel Koala looking pretty good on the Tracer. And across the board, it just seemed like, again, the dives were really, really coordinated there from Legacy. We saw Cinderella diving in, did generally speaking get picked off early on in the fight, but there was enough of a follow-up from Legacy that eventually it didn't matter. Eventually they found that fight, they found that dive that they needed to, and they had plenty of time to play with. So good stuff from Legacy.
Certainly.